it's Laura back here at Hyperstamper, and I've just finished today's junk journal. I haven't done a children's antique book in a long time, so I pulled this 1922 precious book called Childhood's Golden Days. This is a book that was made in the USA, and somewhere along the past 100 years, somebody reinforced the spine, so I just covered that with some vintage crochet doily. And I added some vintage beads and ribbon to match the cover on the side. So let me take you on a tour of this book that is filled with nothing but antique and vintage ephemera and fabrics. It's really, really special. And it's going in my Etsy shop momentarily at hyperstamper.etsy.com. Now, this was the first original plate of the book. It was actually here, but I put it here because there was quite a bit of scribbles that I couldn't fix under there from some child, and it is so brittle that I don't know if it would have survived on its own, so I attached it here. And this is the original first page, again very brittle. So just to the new owner, who I don't know who it is yet, just be very careful with that first page. And if I reinforced it, but if it were to come off, just glue it down, maybe even to the back cover here. I left that blank so you could find a place for it there, just in case. Things that are this old sometimes don't last the test of time. This is another 1930s children's book here. It's really sweet with all the chickens. And then this is also from an antique children's book there from the 20s and 1950s receipt. And this is a really, really beautiful 1926 page here. Look at that, California Girls. Isn't that beautiful? And then on the back is these awesome advertisements for Del Monte, which we still have, and it looks exactly the same. So fun. So I'm gonna tuck that back in its pocket, and that's all on top of a 1925 things to make and do page with a little poem here, some vintage paper here, and this is from a vintage book about antiques, which is kind of cool. And this little piece of newspaper here, which I've reinforced on a backing, is from 1899. Pretty cool. And that's all on top of another antique book page. And I got this lovely little photograph here from 1945. Look at this dapper little young man, probably on his way to a wedding. That's so sweet. And then this is a 1942 Theater Arts magazine page. And look at this. This is Ray Bolger, who was the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, my favorite movie. Isn't that cool? And then I have just some really fun bits here from Antique Papers. And this is from a 1920s book of strawberries. It's literally a whole book about all the different kinds of strawberries. Did you know there were male and female strawberries? I did not know that. So see that? I learned something that was written 100 years ago. Now this here is very cool. I got this in at a vintage shop, and it was in a vintage frame, and it really was super old, but it had been protected in this frame. And then I remembered that I had this magazine article from the 50s, 1959, and I just thought it was so similar and all the colors that I had to have them live together forever. So they are a matching set. Isn't that cool? I just love it so much. Beautiful parrot there. And then I have in this pocket here a 1950s postcard. I just think it's lovely. Look at that beautiful lake scene there. And then this is from the early, I believe, pre-1905. Look at these kids here in their little costumes. I love it. And then over here, just an antique page that you can do some journaling on. I won't open it up. There it is there from Tenderfoot. And then this was a book cover that I couldn't save. And so I made it into a little tag. The Story of Dr. Dolittle. Vintage dictionary page, vintage botanical book page, vintage flip chart paper. This is from a bookkeeping journal. This is actually from the very early 1900s, and that is a gorgeous. We've got storks here, or herons. I guess that's a heron feeding its baby, and then all the different seagulls and swamp birds. There's another one of those plates. This is just a really fun little piece of antique ephemera. And I put some antique paper on the back for journaling, and that's a 1953 store receipt for buttons. Isn't that great? Love it. Don't often get those. Children's book page here. This was the inside cover page of a book, and I just really liked the color and the illustration from an antique book. This is a vintage playing card, just really neat and really good condition, so it doesn't look old, but it is. And this is a 1920s banknote, and it expired in 2004. And then this here is Doctor of the Old School, and it's just a really fun, happy, colorful plate out of a vintage book that's about 75 years old. Some vintage Monopoly money, another antique banknote, a 1955 postage stamp collector page, and look at this stunning, it's not in very good shape, but I thought somebody could have a lot of fun with it, even though it had a few tears, but she's still intact there. Mrs. Livingston Fairbank of Chicago, and I would imagine that's probably Fairbank from Fairbank Hotels. And then on the back, look at a Colgate ad, and that is from 1925. Oh, the fashions from the 20s are just to die for. The frock waists, beautiful. Got another vintage school book page here and a waterfall journaling set here. And then this is one of these wonderful pieces of color supports from the 20s. I love it. Is that neat? Just have some fun with that. And then a whole bunch of vintage children's book pages here. Wonderful poems and stories. Home with the Birds. That is from the early 1900s. Look at that beautiful picture there, the bird in the nest. Another children's book page. We are growing. This is one of these wonderful 1950s baby cards that I have, and it's just in there for fun. I just think it's lovely. Some really fun clusters in here too, and I've got this lovely 1950s crochet book page, frosted leaves. And then this is a plate from the early 1900s, and that is a panorama of London and the river. Antique paper on the back. And these are from that little box that I showed in one of my haul videos. A bunch of words that you put together to make sentences, and that is from the 40s. Just some more antique pages there for journaling, and a vintage music sheet. This is just a funny piece. I thought it was hilarious, from 1942. So on one side we've got the fire engines and some things because it was World War II, a funny ad down here, and then these adorable little cat, dog, and monkey pages. Look at the modern typewriter there. So cool. Anyways, that's fun. And another 1920s nature handbook of nature, early 1900s plate here from the English Gardens book. Little hidden journaling spot there, and another one up here to journal in. And this is from the 1800s, is arithmetic page. And the woodchuck. And then we finish up the book there. So I hope you love it as much as I loved making it. It's going in my shop now, so don't forget to subscribe and come back soon. Bye for now.